Archibald Alexander once stated, "In addition to being the best book, the Bible was the first book. The history of the origin of alphabetical writing is involved in considerable obscurity," he observed, "but the first known record of this art is found in the book of Exodus, in which Moses is commanded to write a certain transaction in a book, and soon afterwards, the law was written by the finger of Jehovah on the 2 tables of testimony. This wonderful art, so necessary for recording the revelations received from God for the use of posterity, was no invention of man, but a revelation from God." Archibald Alexander was an American preacher and writer who was instrumental in what Daniel Walker Howe calls the communications revolution of the early 1800s. Born in Virginia 3 years before the battles of Lexington and Concord, Alexander's work and ministry eventually led to him becoming a pastor in Philadelphia. From there, he became a founding manager of the Philadelphia Bible Society, moderator of the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church in the United States, and in 1812 became the founding president of the Princeton Theological Seminary. As president of the seminary, Alexander spent his life devoted to the promotion of literacy as the primary mover of religious education. As one of the leaders in this new theological seminary movement, Alexander expected his graduates to be influential in print as well as in the pulpit. Most of these theological seminaries developed a curriculum that stressed the primacy of the Bible and sought to relate all other studies and texts properly to it. In addition to cultivating authors and producing institutional publications, these schools developed a structure of knowledge that shaped the content and form of a bibliocentric print culture. It is from this movement that we see academic Protestant theology become the biggest driver behind America's communications revolution. That is what this article, and ultimately Archibald Alexander's life work, are about. Another quote: "The nation," these and others argued, "was facing a cultural crisis, and ministers, of which there were not enough anyway, needed to receive the best education possible to respond to books of many kinds being written by the enemies of the cross of Christ. In proportion as these enemies of God and man increase in number, learning, and activity, will be the necessity of an able and learned clergy to expose their wiles, refute their sophistry, and counteract the misapplication of their science, literature, and talents. Books must be answered with books, and such publications depended on advanced theological education." Advanced educational institutions, like both the Princeton Theological Seminary and the Andover Theological Seminary, began popping up around the country, and with them a large movement to provide a biblical education to the common masses. Organizations such as the American Sunday School Union, the Presbyterian Board of Publication, and American Tract Society began publishing massive amounts of literature to meet these ends. By 1831, the American Bible Society had printed more than 1 million Bibles for a nation with about 3 million households. With a mass printing facility that housed 8 steam-powered presses and 28 hand presses and employed some 200 persons, the ABS claimed it was able to send out 300,000 volumes a year. Ultimately, what this article, which also serves as a biography of Archibald Alexander, is hoping to convey is the importance of theology in the communications revolution of the early to mid-1800s. From the conclusion of the article, with a bibliocentric understanding of the relationship between and the uses of the book and other books, evangelical Christianity in the early American Republic established theological schools that advanced a bibliocentric structure of knowledge. These schools provided the first opportunity for anything resembling graduate education in the United States. This bibliocentric print culture had helped to make religious publishing one of the largest and most influential components in the 19th century American marketplace for print. To me, these observations can be used to reflect on the nature of our own contemporary academic developments. The communications revolution of the 19th century was characterized by mass printing techniques and the wide dissemination of literary skills. The 20th century's developments included new technologies such as radio and television. The 21st century's communications revolution, the one that we are living through, is still emerging, and we can see even early on the influence that the internet, social media, and most recently artificial intelligence are having on contemporary scholarship. While it was the spreading of the gospel that motivated developments in the 19th century, the questions we must ask are about the primary motivators behind these most recent developments. Can these new developments have applications that will contribute to the promotion of widespread learning, or do they only portend the moral decline of American civilization? Personally, as a 9th grade U.S. history teacher, I am faced every day with the numerous ways that students have utilized these new technologies to avoid learning rather than to promote it. Artificial intelligence in particular seems to me to have been invented to actively make the next generation of Americans stupider than any previous generation. However, higher academia is nothing if not the place to build and challenge one's own viewpoints. With that in mind, I have found a few contemporary articles that speak to the potential positive uses of AI as a means of spreading the gospel, or at the very least, as they discuss the nature of AI in the context of a biblical worldview. Thank you.